Hello everyone. I really don't know how to start this video. My name is Phil Sherman and I am the owner of Studio 44 with Phil Sherman right here on YouTube. So far, all I have done is stream MLB The Show. The main focus is in Stadium Creator. Me and my brother use MLB The Show to host our Ricky Davis League that we created way back in the mid-'80s. The original baseball that released with the Nintendo. At least I think it released with Nintendo. Anyway, they don't have real teams. They don't have real players. All they had was like 8 or 9 different teams with one letter representing them. So my brother and his best friend decided to create players. They picked names out of the phone book, mashed them together, and my brother was always kind enough to let me tag along. I created a team at the time. His best friend moved away. Me and my brother carried on the Ricky Davis League through all different games. Baseball Stars, Super Baseball Simulator 1000, Hardball 3, MVP Baseball, All-Star Baseball, and then eventually landing right here on MLB The Show in about 2008 or 9. And we've pretty much had every version of the game, myself and my brother, since we found the show in 2008. We have had every single year spent $60, $70 on MLB The Show. We are loyal customers, about as loyal as you can be. And as you can see in my home screen, I have 24 and 25 also. And gradually, MLB The Show has come up with these fantastic new features where we could separate our league from Major League Baseball. The first of which was letting you create your own players. So we used to find fictional rosters, import our players into those rosters, and boom, we got an entirely fictional roster full of Ricky Davis League players. And then in 2020, they gave you the option to re-franchise your team. So we created 30 teams. But the problem there was now we had fictional players, fictional teams, but we're in real stadiums. And then in 2021, the PlayStation 5 became more readily available. And in the new console, you could create your own stadiums. You could have up to 30 downloaded right onto your game system, or you could create 30 and leave them on your game system and assign them to stadiums in a franchise mode. And we have fictional players, fictional teams, and now fictional stadiums, completely separating us from MLB baseball. And that's what we've always wanted with a brand new game for these next-gen systems. And we were so excited to get in there and create stadiums and see that other people could upload stadiums and we could download those stadiums and tinker with them, mess around with them. It became my favorite part of the game. It got to the point where I was spending more time creating stadiums and looking at other people's stadiums that I decided to start a YouTube channel to showcase them after seeing other YouTubers do the same thing. So right now, in 2025, the 5th version of Stadium Creator, it almost feels like it's taken a couple steps back. And the fact that this version of Stadium Creator is a little bit buggy, and there's just some things that we were hoping would have progressed by now that haven't. So this video is intended for San Diego studios alone. Obviously, more people than them are going to see it, and I doubt they'll ever even see it. But when you put in a ticket to MLB The Show, it gives you the option to post a video or a picture to give them a clearer image of what's wrong. So with so many things going on in this version of the game, I figured why not put a video together. If they did tune in, they probably tuned out already with all the babbling I've done. But I decided to just go in here, show some things that are wrong. Hopefully they take a look at it, and hopefully this isn't a tool that they have abandoned. As a franchise creator and someone who rebrands every team in the league, I was a little disappointed to see the franchise creator or the logo maker or the team creator, whatever you want to call that, ignored since its creation. It seems like they invented that for Diamond Dynasty, where you can change your logos and create your logos and change your uniforms and do all this stuff. But it's been the same since it first launched. I was hoping for some changes there. So that's something too. Personally, I think franchise creator should be its own thing. I think it should be right in that create tab with logo, roster control, stadium creator, and then franchise creator. And I think there should be a vault for that too, so you can upload them and download them in new versions of the game. But this is about stadium creator. So as you can see right now, we're on a template stadium. I downloaded a stadium from the 2024 version of the game called Salesforce Field. I created the stadium and I saved it, but all that saved was the name. The stadium itself did not work. So that's problem number one. That's the first thing. In the frequent asked questions of San Diego Studios' main website, it says, yes, you will be able to download stadiums from 24 to 25. It worked from 23 to 24. So part of the community was very excited about that because we put a lot of time and effort into our stadiums. But every single one of these stadiums are stadiums I created last year. Instead of seeing a thumbnail of the stadium like you normally would, everything is black. And if you hit the square button and save and try to put it in an open slot, the name of the stadium is correct, but the thumbnail is of a template stadium. So that's problem number one. Stadiums from last year aren't carried over as promised. Problem number two also involves the vault, in that if you download a stadium, it doesn't download under the correct name. This gentleman has his stadium clearly labeled Bank of America Park out there in right field, but as you can see here, it's called New York City Park. So let's go into the game real quick. And if you pull up the properties, again, it says Bank of America Park. So it's just weird how from 21, we never had these issues, and then we get all the way to 25. And this happens to be the only year where we didn't get some kind of update right off the bat. But this is the worst version of the game so far as the Stadium Creator tool is concerned. So that's why I wanted to get in here and show whoever's willing to watch what some of the problems are. To show you some of the issues that are going on with Stadium Creator within the tool itself, not just the vault, I thought I'd go into one of your template stadiums. Now, one issue that has become a thing since the 23 version of the game and has progressively gotten worse is the home run fence window and door props. You guys cleverly included different windows and doors that can go into a home run fence. Unfortunately, since the 2023 version of the game, that's 23, 24, 25 now, you can't put windows next to each other. At least not blue, and at least not everywhere. Here we obviously have the two together, but you try to get 3 or 4, it just can't be done. For whatever reason, they started redding out in the 23 version of the game, and it never got fixed. It used to be just a blue window thing. But this year, it appears that green windows are now running into the same problem. So that's an issue that I would hope you guys would take a look at soon, as it, like I said, has gotten worse from 23 all the way to today, the 25 version of the game. Another issue is the light tower placement. Something about certain places with light towers where they red out. Like, I can understand you don't want them to be a distraction for any hitter, but I just don't get why they would red out here, but not like an inch to the left. Like, I don't know what the solution to that would be, but there's just certain weird little patches of spots on either side of the batter's eye that for whatever reason red out when placing the light towers anywhere else is just fine. Now, I don't know if you consider this a problem or just something that needs to be adjusted, but some of the quirky home run fences, and even in templates, you can't get close enough to the home run fence with certain props. Like, say you wanted to add a little bleacher section. Right here in this little corner. Obviously, right here doesn't work because you're on the field of play. Fine. So you go behind the fence, and you can suck it right up close to the wall. Like, you can get it to the point where their feet stick through the wall. Okay? But then if you try to put it in a spot that has the funky little quirk, I'm not even close to the wall, either one of the walls that meet in the middle there, and it's redded out. So I'd love to see some kind of, I don't know if it fix is the right word, or alteration, I think is more like it, just where you can get some props closer to the fence when it comes to these little niches. And then again, over here, you can even get it to the point where you can see feet and hands poking through the home run fence. Another problem that I've noticed in the last couple versions of the game is trying to fix the foul poles. You hit square to go through the different foul pole selections, and it moves from left field to right field. So it can be difficult sometimes to get the correct foul pole fixed. I mean, I guess you could just go opposite, but I mean, come on. That seems like something people shouldn't have to guess on. Now, I can't necessarily go through and show you the clicking problems that we have or the snapping problems that you have, because it just randomly goes in and out. But there are times when props don't snap together. Well, right here happens to be a good time. So you have to zoom in and take the time to line things up on your own, when a lot of times you can just use the snap prop and it'll suck right up next to each other. So that doesn't always work all the time. And it's incredibly helpful when it comes to, okay, see, it works right there, but for whatever reason, is it because these are not, or is it because these are grouped together? Maybe that's just the problem. Nope. So that's also an issue. I've noticed it's a problem with luxury suites a lot. Now, the rest of these things are more suggestions, I guess, than problems. But it's a lot of things that the stadium creator community has been asking for since day one. And number one is obviously the bullpens on the field. I mean, even minor league stadiums don't have bullpens on the field anymore. The two worst stadiums in Major League Baseball before the 2025 version of MLB The Show were the Oakland Coliseum and Tropicana Field in Tampa Bay. I think that's pretty much universal in the entire baseball community's choice of worst stadiums. And they're the only two stadiums in all of Major League Baseball with bullpens on the field. Places like Pac Bell Park in San Francisco, Wrigley Field in Chicago have spent millions of dollars in the past few years to get their bullpens off the field of play. They're not safe. They don't look good. It's just not a big league look anymore. And I don't understand what the reason is for it, but it creates far too much foul territory. It creates awkward seating around the corners. And again, it just doesn't look big league, and they need to go. I almost look at that as a problem as opposed to a suggestion. The bullpens just can't be on the field anymore. Maybe find one or two different big league stadiums that you can use as a template. And my idea, a lot of people say, oh, if you get the bullpens off the field, then you won't be able to carry stadiums over to the next version of the game. My solution to that is leave this as a template for the people who want their 23, 24, 25 stadiums to carry over to 26 or 27. Leave a template with the bullpens on the field, and then people would have that choice. And give us a couple templates without the bullpens on the field so we can start new stadiums with no bullpens on the field. Next up are some popular props that people are looking for that are currently not available in the game. These seating sections work just fine. As you guys have done when you created the stadium, you can pretty much suck these seats right up against the wall if you want to move them closer. And then the snap prop works, and you can move the whole thing right along with it. And while these work and they look good, you also have more modern stadiums like Yankee Stadium and Shea Stadium and Minnesota, where they have those smaller seating sections right along the out of play fence, and then there's a walkway behind it, and then you have more seating behind that. What a lot of people are asking for is smaller seating sections, like even if it's just like this size, and then a concourse behind it, or plaza, or whatever you want to call that behind it. Now, you do have that option with minor league parks. You have the smaller section. It's still a little bit bigger than we would like, but the problem with these are you have the awkward luxury box or whatever this is attached to it, and you have to find either ways to hide it or build around it or live with it. And not everybody likes to use that. So what we're hoping for is a smaller seating section that we can use that actually has seats instead of a bleacher section. A request of mine since day one is the ability to mix and match different outfield patterns with infield patterns. For instance, I personally enjoy this outfield pattern, but dislike the infield pattern. So what I would love to do is match that infield pattern with that outfield pattern. And you know that these patterns haven't been touched when you see something like this. Why would any stadium have the two lighter stripes in the middle like that? And I've never seen any baseball stadium that splits like this, where they go up and down one and side to side the other. I just never got that. Another request when it comes to the turf or the surface of the field is I would love to mix and match the cut of the dirt with different style of dirt. I love how the dark clay works, the dark red clay, but I don't like the longer straight line and then curve in for the dirt cut and the base paths. I like this, the sharper or the old school round. But again, I don't like the dirty tan look. So what I would love is to have the dark red clay and the rounded look. Right now, this is my favorite. This is what I choose, usually. Another must-have for new versions of Stadium Creator are the home run distances. Any big league park, any minor league park, I'm pretty sure any major college park, and even a lot of smaller high school fields will show you the distance from different places from the home run fence to home plate. Now, you guys show that when you can edit the field. As you can see right by the foul pole, it goes from 329, you move it in, and you're at 270. You move it back, that's 322, and then where it meets the first sharp turn in the wall, it's at 348. So if you can show that right here, why can't you plaster that right on the wall? Maybe give you different color options or just all white and have it right there. And then when you're done placing it and you hit circle to let go and then say keep changes, it stays there. That would be amazing to be able to have that. And I have a solution if you can't do that. Another needed prop is numbers. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different lettering props. And of all 7 of those lettering props, only one has numbers as an option. And it happens to be this very unprofessional, weird-looking wood slab prop. If you could get us numbers with the rest of these props, we could put our own home run distances up. It's a little inconvenient because it takes up memory and, you have to remember the distances and come back out and go back in and place a number someplace, but it's better than nothing. A number would be also convenient for retired numbers. Yankee Stadium, St. Louis, all these places have these retired numbers on display someplace. We can't do that because we only have one lettering prop that offers numbers. So I would love numbers to either be their own thing or have a retired numbers prop where you can adjust the numbers. So what would be nice is if you could give us a retired number prop or a standalone number prop or add numbers to the lettering options that we already have. Something like that would be very useful in creating more realistic type stadiums. Going back to the home run fence is another prop people are looking for is signs. Just about every big league stadium, minor league stadium, and I'm sure even some college stadiums have advertisements or signs that you can put on the wall. Why not give us some of these that you already have, their logos, have them represented on a home run fence someplace? I understand that you have different size walls or whatever, but I feel like it's something that could be done. Or laser ribbon or some kind of scoreboard that would fit into a wall. Maybe you have to have the wall a certain height for it to be able to work. I'm not sure, but it's a huge request from people. The batter's eyes. The batter's eyes are a major issue for a couple of reasons. One, you can't put any props close to it. Like this guy right here is very oddly shaped. So if you want to put any props right here, you're covering part of the prop. So you're creating this dead space where you can't put anything. This is a perfect example of that. So when you use smaller props like this, or like this, or like this, or like this, or this one, the smaller ones just look very spring training or minor league. They don't look big league. So it'd be nice if we could have some simpler batter's eyes that look a little bit more professional. This is a good example of one that looks a little bit more professional, but again, it's a little bit quirky shaped. The home run hills are also fantastic. But this one, again, with the weird shape, you can't get anything up front or anything else even close to it. Like you couldn't have seats lined up right next to it. And I get that. You want people to be able to use these stadiums online, and it could be a distraction. So maybe if we just had a couple smaller props in the batter's eyes that were a little bit better or a little bit modern or big league looking. This one looks big league, but you get tired of using it all the time. Other props that would be useful are construction type props. You gave us the trestle way back in one of the updates in one of the earlier versions of the game, but we don't have any large pillars, beams, poles, or walls. Sometimes closing off a stadium can be tough because you have to either create a wall with these smaller props, and when you get into building some of these props, it takes up a lot of memory and it can be time consuming. So in last year's version of the game, you gave us these wonderful concrete slabs, which is fantastic for outside of the stadium, creating these plaza areas or entrance areas or other spots that require a lot of new ground texture without having to go brick, 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 or tile, 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 and use up a lot of memory. What would be nice is if we had walls that were that size too. Now, as far as pillars and beams, this is a good example of a spot where you might like to have some kind of pillar or something that takes you to the ground, because sometimes you like to put these stands in weird spots, but then it's just kind of floating there with the beam. Now, obviously, you won't put it on the parking garage, but you see what I mean. If we had a beam similar to that that could take you all the way to the ground, or even a beam that could take you out like this, I think it just makes the stadium look a little bit cleaner and more professional and more real. And some people like the pillar look or the pole look. If you're building, like say you want to build a deck out here that's not resting on the ground, you want it elevated, you either have to put bricks underneath and create it like that, or it's just kind of floating there. What a lot of people will do is take things like these light props, hide the light prop themselves, and there you have poles. But it would be nice if we didn't have to do that. If we had some kind of beam or pole, we wouldn't have to do that. And like I said, you gave us the trestle, the metal trestle, which can be used for something similar. And while that works for something small like this, it doesn't work for the seats up here. So a couple different options for that would be fantastic. And we know it's something on your radar because it's something that you've built before or given us to as a new tool before. Another feature that people are looking for when it comes to Stadium Creator templates or starting points for their stadiums is the dome or retractable roof. I could see how that could get very, very complicated when it comes to a created stadium. So I have a simple solution. A lot of people are creating their own custom roofs. This stadium is a good example. Now, there's no retractable roofs, and that's understandable. So in order to give a stadium the look that it has a retractable roof, you have to create a wall. That would work. Here he has lined up a bunch of that newer building from the 24 version of the game. And then on top of that, he's got the roadways for a track. And then over here, he's got the giant concrete slab that would slide over the top. Now, obviously, it can't go over the field of play or it reds out, but at least in a game, it gives you the feel that you're in a stadium with a retractable roof. If you can't give us a template where the roof would be closed or has the ability to close, the least we could do is use a prop that looks like a roof or a retractable roof. You have props like this that are gigantic, has a giant roof right on it. If you could give us a shell that could kind of suck up right close to the home run fence, we have a prop that at least looks like a retractable roof. This ring is another example. But again, the fact that you can't have it over the field kind of kills its ability to be used as a roof. But can you see how if you have something like this that can be hugging right up against the wall, it could be a prop, its own prop. If you just have it shaped correctly, nice and flat, and then straight up, and then have a little bit of an arch over it. And then we could build off that towards the home run fence. Now, I've been talking about a lot of things that are wrong with the Stadium Creator tool. Let me talk about some of the things that you guys did that make the tool so good. The fact that you can take and blend these props together was genius. The fact that you can, attach that to a fence and not make it so you just have to put everything next to each other, it was great. It gives us the ability to be more creative, create things that maybe don't exist as a prop in the game, and that has been incredibly helpful. And one of the major props that you guys added that has been helpful for empty seats like this is the standing room only crowd. Now, that has been helpful because the first 3 versions of this game, these props, like the picnic tables, sat empty in games. Now, if you ever go to a stadium, none of these picnic tables are empty. So with the standing room only crowd or with the crowd clusters that you guys created, you can kind of place these guys here. And in a game, you don't get a good long picture of these, so it gives you the illusion that someone's sitting there. But personally, I think that all of these props should come with people interacting with them. I mean, you have a roller coaster going with no people in it. I mean, personally, I don't know if you need a roller coaster in a baseball stadium or to be seen in a baseball stadium, but if you're going to build it, why not put people in it? For the restaurants, people should already be sitting there. Again, you can add people and that helps, but I think it would look much more realistic and less memory consuming if the people were already there. Maybe people could be playing on the playground, kids. Folks cruising around in the lazy river. Folks playing mini golf. standing on the party decks, and have people sitting in the clubhouse prop. I think you get the idea. Another great tool you guys gave us was the fences. Obviously, you need fences and railings to keep people off the field of play, or to close in the stadium, or to keep dinosaurs out, apparently. We'll get to that later. But fences like these have been fantastic for standing room only areas where crowds could line up to watch the game, lean on the railing, and take a look at things. Unfortunately, there's just not many options right now. What I would really like is give us bigger, longer versions of the fences that you already have. This can be very memory consuming when you have a big, long concourse and you have to build prop after 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 prop to create a straight wall. It'd be great to have a bunch of bigger options to kind of, again, save memory. And now on your upper decks, there's railings built right in. What would be nice is if we had railings that look like this as an option. Now, a lot of people get creative and they use the end caps as a railing. Say they wanted to keep people from falling off the back of this deck, or just to give the deck another nice look. They'll line up the railing, and while that looks good for the most part, it doesn't go all the way to the end, and there's the part where it slopes down. So if we could have just a railing or this as a prop, that would be fantastic, because I mean that's how they look. This fence is nice and it's similar, but this big thick post creates an obstacle. And again, I know we're talking about fake people and they don't really need to see the game, but it just helps make it look more realistic. Going back to signs, I know this is a bit more complicated, but if I remember correctly, when you create a franchise and pick a logo or create a logo, it shows up on the field. Wouldn't it be nice if we can create signs with our logos on it? I know they show up on scoreboards and laser ribbon, but I think it could be fun to have on a sign too. And speaking of scoreboards, it would be nice if there were more sizes of scoreboard. These have pretty much been untouched since day one of Stadium Creator. I know there's a couple new options in here. I know that one's new, and the shark is newer. But other than that, that's about all we've gotten. So I would love to see maybe some more scoreboards that are this size but don't have the frame. Or this sized. Again, this is a good one, a good size. And this is another smaller one that would be nice to not have a frame for. And then as far as other props are concerned, some of them are just giving us new versions of props that already exist. The stairs were a fantastic addition to the Stadium Creator tool. Thank you so much for these. But there's no railing. So maybe a version of the stairs with a railing would be nice. New animal statues and fountains would be cool. Again, most of these are from day one. How about team flags? That would be cool to have. Different sculptures. Some kind of new custom waterfall would be fantastic. Like, I love using the Royals fountain or waterfall, whatever you want to call it. But the only part you can get up close is the weird, awkward, curved part that's separated by the signs. So it doesn't necessarily look cool close to the fence. And then this part, if you could bury everything else and get this up close, that would look pretty cool to hit into that. I believe you guys have a minor league stadium that has something similar. But again, you can't get the cool part close enough to the home run fence. So wouldn't it be nice to have that waterfall that's like cut off like right here and go across? Stuff like that. Just newer versions of some of the props that already exist. Just things that belong in a stadium in general. A lot of my subscribers tease the fact that we can put a canoe in this baseball stadium, but we still have bullpens on the field. We still have home run fences that you can't put yellow lines on, or have the windows next to each other, or have the home run distances on the walls themselves, or have pillars and beams and construction pieces like that, walls, more concourse pieces. Do we really need a canoe before all that stuff? Same thing with the dinosaurs and the monsters. I get that they're fun for kids, but those props are very silly for a lot of the people who use Diamond Dynasty and other modes of the game that require a custom stadium. Now, as far as the tool itself, the new version of the tool is leaps and bounds better than the very first version of the game. The simple creator mode was completely unnecessary, and the wheel is much easier, and having the search, and even newer where you can, like with the concourse, you can hit triangle and find the different types and then selecting it and then being able to go through that. That's a huge time consumer. So great job on that. But one thing that really would be nice to have is the undo button. So I know I'm not the only person who's done this. I don't like this fence here. And then there's a concrete thing right behind it. You start deleting your fence. Oops, I accidentally deleted that. A lot of times when you go to put it back in, the memory doesn't adjust and you can't do it. Or you can't get it in the exact spot that it was before. I think we really need an undo button. And the same thing goes for logo creator. I don't think you have a logo creator undo button if you accidentally delete something too. But I know you have something to an extent where if you have a prop set there and you say, let's move it over here. Nah, I don't like it there. You can hit circle and it'll bring it back to where you left it. But that's not good enough, because if you put it there and then say, no, I don't like it there, then you have to find the exact same spot that it was at, and that can be a little bit tough. So I think an undo button would be very helpful in saving time and a lot of stress when it comes to creating a stadium. There are a few things from the very first version of the tool that I miss. One of them is the reset button. A lot of times you are trying to make the thumbnail look good, right? Because every time you see a stadium for the first time, the first thing you're going to see is the thumbnail, right? So you want to make sure it looks good from where the thumbnail is going to take place. So a lot of times what I would do is I would adjust a scoreboard, okay? Say, okay, I like it better there. When you have this main menu up here, you could hit triangle and the camera would take you right back to behind home plate. I really miss that option. Maybe it's been there the whole time and I just don't know where the menu has to be or whatever button you have to push to get you back there. But I think that's a great product to have, instead of, like, if you're all the way out here and you say, oh, no, I don't like that roof. So you get rid of it and you come back here. You have to move the camera and get back down and, and say, oh, okay, yeah, that looks better. When before, it was pretty handy because you'd be up here, you bring up the big menu, hit triangle, and boom, you're right back behind home plate. That's one thing I miss. Since we're here, another thing I miss from the old version of the game is searching through the vault. So when you have the vault pulled up and you wanted to search for my stadiums, you hit square, and then all my stadiums pop up, starting with the latest or last stadium I uploaded. And then you go through, and there they all are. Now, in this version of the game, you could sort your search from descending to ascending. So there's so many pages in the vault now, especially since you can carry from 23 to 24 and then 24 to 25. It'd be nice if you can go all the way back and start at the beginning of someone's vault like you could here. You hit ascending, you hit sort, And now it shows you the very first stadium I ever uploaded. I really missed that tool or that option. Now, sticking with the vaults, I happen to think that the Stadium Creator vault should be more similar to the rest of the vaults. Here you have 8 thumbnails right on the page. I would love it if you could have 8 thumbnails right here and you could see other thumbnails. Now, I get it that the Stadium Creator is much more complicated and probably bigger memory file and stuff like that, but I think a nice little thumbnail would be fantastic right here, and I would love for them to show the similar things. It shows how many times people downloaded this. It shows people when you uploaded this stadium, January 19th at 3:24 a.m. It shows the rating of people who liked it and disliked it. I think that would be fantastic to have in the Stadium Creator Vault. I would love to know how many people downloaded my stadiums. Another thing that's great about this tool is that you can help clean up the vault. One of the problems with Stadium Creator is that there's so many crappy stadiums in there because a lot of people use the vault as a backup for their own stadiums, or they have to upload it to be able to play in that stadium online. But when they're done with it, it's stuck there. With this, I can go right to the thing and delete it, and it's gone from the vault. I think that would be a fantastic option for stadiums as well. Get some of those unfinished stadiums out of there. Maybe someone updated a stadium and they don't like the old one anymore. They could get rid of it, and it would be easier to search through the vault and find stadiums that you like. And I think you should be able to search by the name of the stadium and the creator of the stadium. Because a lot of times to see a stadium, someone will say, oh yeah, it's United Airlines Field. So you go into recent uploads, go to search. So you have to dig through 5 pages to find the one that you want by the right creator. If you could pick the name and the creator of the stadium when you search, it could save a whole lot of time. Now, this may be just a pipe dream, but I think another cool feature to have in the vault would be the ability to maybe see some thumbnails from an app. You have the show app where you can see things in the community, right? Where you can share with the community and stuff like that. Wouldn't it be cool if you could see the vault, at least this page of the vault, and be able to say, oh, that's a cool one. I'd like to be able to download that one when I get home. And then you can make note of it and then get in there and check it out when you get home. The Stadium Creator mode in this game is one of the best things that's ever happened to video games, in my opinion. For someone whose favorite sport is baseball, and for someone who's been obsessed with baseball stadiums his whole life, I used to draw them, sketch them out, way back from when I was in 5th grade all the way up until I was in my 40s. This is the best thing that could ever happen. I used to get picked on for drawing the stadiums all the time and keeping them. I've had books this thick of baseball stadiums. And my brother would always say, oh, wouldn't it be cool if you could build your own stadium in a game? I was like, that's way too complicated of a thing. There's no way anyone would ever be able to pull it off. You guys pulled it off. And it's unbelievable that people have spent so much time in it and that you can get as creative as you can with the limited props that we have. And I'm still just in awe of the fact that I can set up a deck and say, oh, wouldn't it be cool if he hit a home run in there? And then I get into a game and I hit a home run into that deck. It's just what I've always wanted in a video game. And all I'm asking is that we please don't leave this tool alone. Please don't abandon it like the franchise creator, the logo creator mode have been. I'm asking, again, as someone who has spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars on your video games, to keep tweaking, keep advancing, keep updating, keep asking us for feedback for ways to make this tool better. As it is right now, you're not very far away from having it being perfect. Some of the things I put in this video, I think, are steps in the right direction. I hope that you saw this video. I hope that you took it as constructive criticism and not as just someone who's bashed the tool. Because let's face it, it's easier for someone who knows nothing about coding and creating a video game to come up here and say, oh, this tool sucks and they need to do this and why can't they do that? Brr, 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 brr. I get that. But we're just asking you, please don't leave it alone. Please don't forget about it. Please keep including it in newer versions of the game, but don't abandon it. Make it better. It's so close to being perfect. Thank you for adding this feature to the game. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. And thank you for looking through the comments and seeing that other people agree with me and really want this tool to thrive and grow for years to come.